Well, in some ways it feels like some level of Groundhog's Day. But again, our guys played with a lot of energy, tremendous amount of energy, played extremely hard, played well enough. You know, ultimately, my goal has always been no matter how good a team we have, and I've been on teams as an assistant and as a head coach where we were the prohibitive favorites. And my goal always is when you look up and it's crunch time, that one way or another you're right there with a opportunity to make a couple of plays to win the game. And that was another we did it again today. We found ourselves in that situation, and then we've just struggled to make those plays. And those plays, what's difficult with it is those plays end up being a different play in a lot of different games. You know, even today we had the one in succession pretty much where we, under a minute, maybe under 30 seconds even, we're down. We give up an offensive rebound at the free throw line. Like you have to count that that's going to be secured at that time. We didn't. We gave up 2 more points. We bring the ball down and we turn it over. And so really on our own volition on that one. So it's harder to pinpoint what those are. But, you know, we'll have a week here to pretty much focus solely on what we do and the things that we do and that we need to get better at, regardless of who our opponent is on an everyday basis.
David on the left.
Lamont A&M's not really known as a three-point shooting team. They hit 11 tonight, even though Wade had 7 of them. But what did you think about the three-point defense, especially trying in the first half to kind of get them off kilter?
Yeah, I mean, they hit one in desperation. They hit another that was from wherever it was from. This is for a guy that he's a tremendous player. Trust me, he can do 40 on any day. He just can. That's who he is as a player. But from the three-point line, since he's come back, he's not been shooting the ball well. I mean, that's also a fact. But today was the day for that. And we tried a couple of different things, had a couple of different guys. We did a little zone, which I thought was pretty good for us at times. But, some of it, I think we also have to be more aggressive. We have fouls to give. I think sometimes you get a guy like that, you have to guard him in a way where you're just not going to be comfortable. But they mainly were not easy. 2 of them were step backs. I mean, guys make those sometimes. When you're struggling to make threes, that's not normally how it works, but it was. He made a bunch of them today, and that helped him. They make another one where, we go for the fake, they sidestep, shoot it, it goes up, almost goes over the backboard and goes in. They hadn't been doing that. We talked a lot about being ready to help, and then recovering in a normal way to most of the shooters, right? And then if Wade made a couple, we would adjust and then recover a little bit with a little more urgency to him in order to make him dribble the ball. But again, some of these were sidestep threes that just were, you could play them more aggressively, I guess, but you're probably going to give a straight layup if you do. So credit to him for stepping up on a game where they needed it. They needed that to happen today, and he made those shots.
Elijah in the front.
Coach, I believe like 12 of your first 14 shots were 3, and then shot 31 threes tonight. Was there something that Texas A&M does defensively that kind of allowed that look to be a little more prevalent tonight, or is that maybe more a coincidental part of the game?
No, it's not coincidental. I mean, if you look, they play in a way, that's one of the things statistically that they do. They give up a lot of threes. They do. And they don't give up a ton right at the rim, but they do give up a lot of threes. Now, they have tremendous athletes, and they're very good at recovering and rotating, and so those looks end up being not quite as good as or as comfortable as what you normally would think. But I thought in the first half we popped the ball around so much it was hard to catch up on some of them, and so that was a big part of what led us to being able to get some of those looks. But I think just the way that they defend, I think it's probably part of what their equation for winning involves is being okay with giving up a certain amount of three-point field goal attempts.
Alan on the left.
You talked Tuesday about trying to, figure out how to, I think you said Rubik's Cube, figure out how to solve the turnovers. Only 12 tonight, 5 in the first half. Was that closer to what you're looking for from this offense, just from a big picture perspective?
Yeah, I mean, that showed some improvement. But I think we've tried to simplify a couple of things and have a couple of guys that may not be as comfortable making some of those decisions under duress. Try to eliminate some of that from the equation. Sometimes you're going to have to. It's a college basketball game. You're not a puppet master that you can control everything. So the game is played, and you're going to have to put yourself in a situation. But there are a certain number of things that you can do to try to mitigate decisions that certain guys have to make. I thought we were able to do that. I thought that was good. We handled their three-quarter court pressure better. Some of that's personnel. Having Jamari in there helps with that too. But I thought once it got into the half court, I thought we had eliminated some of the decision making for some guys.
Phil in the back right.
Jordan Butler got some early minutes and hit a quick three. And can he grow from this? Are you seeing some things in practice where there may be more opportunities for him?
Yeah, I hope he can continue to grow. I hope he can continue to grow. It was good to see the shot go in. Honestly, the last 2 days at practice, he struggled to shoot, but he did some other things. Shooting, you're going to go out there on game day and you're going to make it or you're going to not make it, and that's as simple as it gets. If the quality is good, so I don't sweat that quite as much. But he was doing some other things defensively in terms of general activity and resistance. Not to mention the threat of making a three. I thought that was, I've said on the record that I want Colin to be more aggressive in terms of field goal attempts. I joked with him that I was going to reboot his internal hard drive, and his new default was going to be to shoot the ball and win it anytime he touched it. He's not even made like that. I mean, I'm just telling you, he's such a great kid and so unselfish to the nth degree. But we want him to do that. And I think with JB out there more than before, he has more space to do things, and he needs some space. He's better in space. He doesn't have to have it, but he's a better player in space. So, playing smaller is a thing, but also being able to play bigger with, let's say, JB out there as opposed to Zach playing the four when you're going against a couple rugged guys and you need a little more size and length. So, that was a calculated decision that we made to try to see. But hopefully JB can grow from it and get some confidence from, just being out there and then seeing one of them go in and continue to grow.
Pete in the front right here.
Lamont, you already talked about how, this next week you'll concentrate on your team and the little things that are necessary to kind of break through on some of these games.
Yeah.
Is there any thought to, how do you handle these weeks off, especially in this situation? Do you change things up for the guys? Do you ramp things up? How do you approach when you have a little downtime in the middle of a season?
Yeah, in terms of what we do at practice, that will probably change. We'll get back to a little more of like, we're going to do more offensive stuff. For one, I think this week we did more offensive stuff. Pretty much yesterday we spent the day out. It's hard to not spend a full day prepping for your opponent, but the day before that, which typically in the past we've always done a 2-day prep, we've been really concentrating on ourselves still, and we did a lot more offense on that day. That was Thursday. So So the makeup of those practices probably will look a little bit different. We'll do more offensive stuff. We may get into some shell stuff. We'll do some more light-hearted competitive stuff where there's not as much. We'll have enough practice. There won't be as much coaching going on. You know, believe it or not, there's probably a couple of times where they're tired of hearing what I say, and they need to say things to themselves. So we'll have a little bit of time in a couple of situations where they're playing and competing and having fun, and there'll be, you know, a prize for the winner and maybe a booby prize for the loser, and just to keep it lighthearted. Because it's not about grinding these guys. I don't need to yell at these guys. They're trying really hard. They want to win badly. At this point, they want to win badly. So I have no issues at all with that. I mean, I think our attention to detail certainly can get better. Certainly it can. Our grasping of a moment and the gravity of that moment and how that moment, even 4 minutes out, could ultimately impact the final outcome. I think you know, we have to understand that better. But, you know, there'll be a couple of days where we'll be a little bit more lighthearted at practice.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.